A passage in 2 Thessalonians gives us a perfect picture of the sort of mindset that will encompass the world once the Antichrist has finally been revealed. 2 Thessalonians 2:9-12 reads, "The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this reason God will send them strong delusion, that they should believe the lie, that they all may be condemned who did not believe the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness." This passage clearly tells us that once the Antichrist arrives, mankind will be deluded by a lie. And when we understand the biblical story as a whole, it becomes quite clear just what this lie is. According to the book of Genesis, the fall of man came as a result of believing the lie, "Ye shall be as gods," spoken by that serpent of old, Satan, who deceives the whole world. From the very beginning of human history, Satan's goal has been to convince man that he is God. It's therefore reasonable to assume that through the Antichrist, Satan will seek to consummate the work he started all the way back in the Garden of Eden by initiating mankind into the religion of human divinity. This is true Satanism or Luciferianism, not participation in ritualistic blood sacrifice or the literal worship of the devil, but simply believing that one is on equal footing with the Creator. The lie that man is divine is, therefore, the true essence of the Antichrist agenda, the real Luciferian philosophy, which ultimately aims at convincing mankind that it is godlike, powerful, without sin or blemish, inherently free, and capable of transcending to higher levels of being. These ideals, however, are completely at odds with the agenda of the New World Order and Illuminati, whose goal, as we are told over and over again by the conspiracy media, is to disempower and enslave us. This is why they poison our food and water, give us diseases and cancer, control our minds through the media, entertainment, consumerism, and politics. How then can the New World Order and the Antichrist agendas be one and the same? The simple answer is, they aren't. Satan may see mankind as nothing but pawns to manipulate, but subjugation through force is not his way. Rather, Satan's MO is to spread spiritually deadly messages disguised as positivity or empowerment, which feed into man's hubris, giving him delusions of grandeur. Satan is not interested in turning mankind into slaves. What he wants is a human race blinded from the light of the gospel, thoroughly convinced that it is God and in no need of a savior but themselves, which, interestingly, is the very message underlying the New World Order resistance movement, which is being spearheaded by the conspiracy and New Age communities.
Almost any time that we create a religion, we're in a huge mess, because ultimately all the great teachers were trying to steer us towards experiential knowing rather than worshiping a book, which is fundamentally flawed as soon as you write it down. And I really want to imbue that to others, this notion that you are the one you're looking for. You are your savior, because the experience of omniscient awareness that we all have, we are the awareness of the universe. And when we become inspired, we touch parts of that, the most basic fundamental truths that you will find in meditation. That's what we call ageless wisdom, the knowledge that just downloads to you when you go into a state of meditation.
The lie that man is God is the root of what are known as the ageless wisdom or mystery school teachings, which have been the basis of Eastern mystical religions such as Buddhism and Hinduism, as well as the various branches of Western esotericism and occultism, including Platonism, Freemasonry, Rosicrucianism, and Theosophy. In recent decades, these teachings have been disseminated on an unprecedented scale through the New Age movement. Though many Christian prophecy researchers have portrayed the New Age as part of the larger New World Order agenda, the evidence simply does not support this notion. Believing themselves to be workers of light, New Agers abhor the so-called works of darkness, and from their perspective, there is nothing darker or more sinister than the New World Order agenda and its Illuminati architects. Interestingly, the subject of the Illuminati and their global conspiracy is a frequent topic of messages communicated by spirits through channeling, a process popular within the New Age whereby a person opens themselves up to become a direct conduit of one or more spiritual entities who speak through the person telepathically, communicating whatever messages or spiritual teachings the entities wish to convey. Those who participate in these spiritual collaborations are easy targets for deception, which is why this practice is explicitly condemned in the Bible. Masquerading as benevolent spirits or extraterrestrials, satanic entities quite frequently speak of the Illuminati and their dark plans in an apparent attempt to warn humanity of their global conspiracy.
It doesn't matter who you speak to. It doesn't matter even speaking to lovely intuitive sources in the other world. I can say without exception, all of them have said, even if they don't choose to go into it, yes, there are forces that are interfering with the people of your planet. And that goes without exception. In every intuitive source, every channeler we featured on Gaia have privately, when I've spoken to them, said, they're being said, yes, you are being interfered with. Your job is to break that.
The reason people feel so isolated and the reason that people are so in pain is because of the fragmented humanity that they are existing in. Humanity has been designed to connect and to be a tribe, and yet through the evolution process and through the control of certain forces, you would call them government, although we would argue that what you see presented as your government is not actually the government, it is the display people for the government.
What is your exact description when you're saying for the government, the forces that control?
We would say that this is clear everywhere you go, as in, often what you perceive as the person in charge is not in charge. So when we say there are governing bodies behind your government, we mean exactly that. There are people who have a certain amount of control regarding the resources and the freedoms on this planet, and some of those people, not all, but some of those people have very dark agendas.
In her book, The Robes, a book of coming changes, Penny Kelly details the seemingly prophetic information revealed to her by a group of extraterrestrials, known simply as the Robes, who visited her in person multiple times in the 1980s. These beings imparted not only New Age wisdom about the coming expansion of consciousness on planet Earth, but also how in the coming decades, the world would begin moving in a very dark direction at the hands of a few very powerful and corrupt families.
Penny was an unemployed mother with 4 children on welfare, had a Kundalini awakening that just blasted her open. And all of a sudden, these little men in brown robes started appearing to her in her kitchen, her bedroom, her living room, and started showing her glimpses of the future.
I saw the 12 or 13 families who were members of the Cabal, and they never called it the Cabal. They always called it the families. That was their term, 12 or 13 families. I saw that it was mostly a business arrangement, and that there were some awful things that were happening. I might cry if I have to talk about them. They were so terrible. And what they pointed out was that the families, the Cabal families, would become a huge obstacle to change. They would distract people with music, with entertainment, with food, with poor food especially, with all sorts of meaningless drivel, and people would go for that, and they would not focus on the reason they were here, which was to develop their consciousness.
For years, New World Order researchers have agreed that the highest echelon of the Illuminati consists of 13 specific families, each with their own special bloodlines. Through the work of researchers like Fritz Springmeier, the Christian prophecy community has largely embraced this revelation about the Illuminati families, believing it to be the blueprint for Satan's true endgame. However, the messages Penny Kelly received from these entities called the Robes nearly 40 years ago, as well as many other channeled messages received from supposedly benevolent spirits and ETs assisting in the elevation of humanity's consciousness, raise the disturbing possibility that the Illuminati's exposure is not the work of God, but of Satan. That the Illuminati are so frequently exposed by satanic spirits themselves should raise a serious red flag regarding the legitimacy of the New World Order as Satan's true endgame. For why would Satan directly reveal his ultimate plans to so many of those he clearly intends to deceive? What this and similar ET and spiritual encounters suggest is that, for some reason, in addition to humanity's indoctrination into the New Age worldview, Satan also finds it of the utmost importance that mankind learn of the Illuminati and their dark agenda against the human race, which again suggests the likelihood that the New World Order itself is a massive false flag.